This is Inara Ariane Griffin speaking to you from Rishikesh. And I'm in a place where I'm experiencing a lot of Ayurvedic treatments and doing a lot of yoga, meditation, pujas, which are ceremonial offerings, and really came here to extend my gratitude for life itself. So it's a devotional practice. I didn't even know where I was going to be, and I've ended up in literally paradise, and you can see it behind me. It's the most peaceful place, and I wanted to talk a little bit about safety today. As somebody who has traveled for many years, many places, and there was a little story about that when my grandmother was looking after me when I was a baby. There was a famous psychic in Yorkshire who crossed paths once when I was in a baby pram. And this woman stopped and just said to my grandmother, that child is going to travel thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. And from a small town in Yorkshire at that time, though my parents are travelers and they've traveled extensively, my father probably way more than my mum, I've probably traveled even more than them, and you would not have known it from where I was born or where I grew up. Many people stayed safely in their own little area, and much like medieval times, they never moved out of the area, and they married into the people who were local to them. And I've had a very different life, and I've always known it. And I wanted to speak to you today about many of the entrepreneurs or the women who I speak to. Specifically, this is for you women. In their own right, they're up to big things. In fact, they're so unusual, the people that I end up meeting and working with. It's an absolute honor to work with them. But there are common denominators, and I think that one of the things is that women really don't feel safe on the journey. There's a lot of historical unsafety for women being out there in the world. And this translates into making big steps because they're often governed by what their family think, raising children, coming up with ideas with finance, working in a highly, respected field, whatever they're in. And the thing that I notice is they don't go for their dreams. This is a common occurrence. It's like when I have a first session with somebody, I'll listen to everything that's going on for them. And a lot of it will be they're juggling this business. They may have another one on the side. They're juggling the family. Perhaps the relationship is under strain, stress and strain together is strain. And they're dealing with outside influences all the time. They don't put themselves first often. They're juggling. And another aspect of it may be that you, because you are the kind of person who has come into my sphere, so this may speak very much to you, that there's a level of exhaustion, there's a level of disappointment. The disappointment will often come from, if I've worked this hard and I've done my dues and I've been in a corporate world and it should have worked, then why am I not happy? And they've spent all this time trying in some way to make the money and make other people happy. And then comes some kind of level of crunch time. So when I meet somebody, and this is how I work with people, you are invited to a Zoom call. It's free of charge. I just want to take in and listen to what your life is all about and what's going on for you. And at that time, there will be a consistent thing that happens that they'll tell me about everything that's going on. And mostly their faces will be quite solemn or serious or straight. And then there'll be one little twinkling moment when you will say to me, but I have this idea. I have this idea about doing something. I might be working in a corporate world, but I've got one little idea which has been on the back burner. And often you make it into a hobby because you don't want to invest in it because you're going for the safe route. And the safe route is often looking for the next paycheck that's coming in. It's completely understandable. People want safety, and women in particular want safety. And as somebody who has had quite an unconventional life, I would say, people here on this retreat, which is a hotel that people are just coming to do Ayurvedic treatment, so it's not like a retreat. I'm meeting a lot of strangers, and several of them have said to me, oh, you're a free spirit. That's one of the first things they'll say to me, you're a free spirit. And that's because I'm not married, I'm not in a relationship, I don't have kids, and I'm perceived as quite brave to be traveling to remote spots like this on my own. But for me, and maybe you relate to this, there came a point in my life when I hadn't met the ideal partner. By chance, my life turned out that I didn't have children, and it wasn't a choice. It was a set of circumstances that happened that I ended up sort of missing that opportunity, a bit like that. Maybe more on that later at some point, because I'm sure some of you will relate to this, but I have had no backup in terms of a man to lean on to go, hey, darling, do you want to come to a place like this with me? I've had no backup financially from anybody. It's been what you see is what you get. What I make is created by me. And so there came a point when I had disappointments, just as you have. And there comes a crunch time when you make a decision. Am I going to be governed by a small life and disappointment that I didn't get? And in my case, it was I didn't get children. I was very disappointed about that for some years. Fully healed of that story now, but I'm just telling you, these are big impact moments, and the choice is to stay safe in one way, but the safety was going to cut off another aspect that was so important to me. The idea of travel, of meeting different cultures, of expansion, of feeling, I was going to say fearless, but that's kind of the wrong way because it's got the word fear in it. So let me try a different word. Feeling curious about the world. And curiosity was more of an important aspect to me than staying in a tiny place, meeting just the same people over and over and never really stretching. So there came a point when this choice you make, and it's like, that was not the safe choice for me, to stay small and to stay in a little, at that time, fishing village, which is where my grandmother and I lived together. I'm watching a mosquito go all the way up, and you ain't going in my room. No, you're not. So safety has a very different energy depending upon what you're looking at. And for me, that wasn't safety. And so when I invite you to consider that the work that I do with you is to uncover the true passion, that little tinkling, that little moment that you say to me, this lights me up. And when I hear that and I see this smile on your face, I know that's the idea that has legs. Actually, in business, it's the one that is fully authentic and full passion behind it. That's the one. Not, oh, I'm in this mundane job to stay safe, and this other little thing which really lights me up, I'm going to keep as a hobby. Actually, with business acumen and using some of the spiritual tools that I help regulate your nervous system and help you move into a position of, yeah, it's curiosity, it's daring, and strangely enough, it's a different version of safety because it's the life that you were born to live. It's the sole reason that you're here. And that's who I work with, people who their soul is calling out for expansion, for curiosity, and they're already feeling the deadening of themselves in a certain level of routine that they know is never going to bring them happiness. So speaking from this divine, amazing place, I want to invite you that if you were curious to have a conversation and you wanted to see what's possible in changing the remit on safety. So safety is no longer you staying at home and doing your little things and feeling like, oh, I missed another opportunity. No, safety for you is actually going out into the world and creating something absolutely magnificent that lights you up every day of your life. And that is how I feel about the work that I do with you guys. Actually, whoop, there's a bee. Just at that moment. That's how I feel about the work I do with you guys. I mean, if I'd have understood that many years ago I would have been this self-made concoction of spirituality meets business, I never would have believed it. But that's exactly who I am. That's what I do. There's not many who do what I do. And I work with two levels. One is people in conventional business who want to bring in, they want to create something else. They want to create their passion. And equally, I work with people who are in alternative, let's say, spiritual businesses who conventionally have always been, oh, they're the good guys who never make any money and I make you make money. That's what I help you with. And I really, truly believe that money needs to be in the hands of the good guys at this time to preserve this beautiful planet and not to kind of rape and pillage as you grow. Nah, that's old order. That's got to go. So the invitation for you is if this speaks to you and you feel lit up, let's arrange a call. And even while I'm in Rishikesh, people connect with me and we can set up a Zoom call and let's talk and let's see what a new version of safety could mean for you.